What's up, everybody? Keith Mitchell here, and welcome back to Spectator Mode Podcast. This one's a solo podcast. I'm flying by myself because middle of the week, and honestly, I just wanted to talk about something that's been on my mind for quite some time, and that is the ongoing state of Outriders, the looter shooter, which is available on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. Now, this game has been one of the games I've been playing for the last couple of weeks, and I have to say I really enjoyed the game, yet at the same time, I've yet to play the game the last couple of days, mainly because I'm just frustrated with the game itself and the lack of the endgame. But let's talk about everything that's happened with this game thus it got released. So this game got a lot of fanfare. Everybody was hyped for the game. The developer, People Can Fly, were really excited about this. Square Enix was very excited about this. And honestly, so was I. And I was a person that went from going, this game reminds me of Destiny and The Division 2. Okay, this game looks fairly decent. And then getting access to the demo and go, okay, this game is fantastic. Fast forward to the release of the game, I've got about 100-something hours in this game, believe it or not, on the PC, a couple hours on the PlayStation, and a couple hours on the Xbox, thanks to Xbox Game Pass. However, like I said, I've yet to play this game anymore just because I'm just really frustrated with how the game actually is. Now, we all know that the game had a bad launch. The servers are crashing, authentication servers, obviously we need to go online to authenticate, so that was a big problem, and I still believe that that was a big part to Xbox Game Pass giving access to this game on day one. Now, that's not a negative. That is a fantastic thing. It's poor foresight for People Can Fly, who didn't think that maybe they should actually beef up their authentication servers, but you know, whatever happens, and you can always put up new servers, I guess, is their train of thought about that one. But whatever. They eventually got those sorted out. People could play online. Stuff hit the fan because people were having issues with the gameplay, registration hits. People were joining other people's games and they would have problems connecting or having problems playing, or abilities wouldn't work in the game because the game is a peer-to-peer game. There are no dedicated servers, and dedicated servers is something that makes or breaks a game like this. When you play Diablo, you don't play on somebody's machine. You don't do a peer-to-peer. When you play Destiny 2, you don't do a peer-to-peer. You are playing on instances that are spun up by Bungie. That is what makes those services so good. And I know those are games as a service. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about the stability of Outriders and the longevity of Outriders. I've actually wrote an article about there's a lot of things that Outriders really needs for this game to thrive and to continue. And I sent this to People Can Fly. I don't know if they read this. I really hope they do. People Can Fly, if you hear this podcast, please check out the article. There's a lot of great stuff in there I think you really need to implement. And this is coming from somebody who's played these games for a number of years. So I'm not just trying to blow smoke up your butt. I really want Outriders to be a great game. And I do apologize if you're hearing loud cars going past the windows, because people think that slipping up the cars and racing down my road is a cool thing, because it totally isn't. Anyway, getting back to it. Dedicated servers is a big miss for this game. So as I mentioned, the peer-to-peer issues, I would join a game and I would sit there and I'd have to wait, or I would do an ability and then I would just be stuck there and the enemies would kill me, and then people would get mad at me, and then people would kick me because they think I don't know how to play and tell me to get good scrub. It's not a good look, and that's just one issue with this game. The other issue is the amount of bugs that were in the game, including the inventory wipe bug, which I thought I experienced when I joined the game. Because of a poor connection, I literally sat there for 2 minutes like, my gear is completely gone. What the heck is going on? Obviously, it all came back, and I promptly quit that game because I did not want to lose my loot. But there's a lot of people out there who weren't that fortunate, and they're still waiting for the loot to get brought back to them. People Can Fly have said they have a plan. They are working on this, and they will restore everybody's loot. I don't know if they've done it yet, because again, I've stopped playing the game. I've thus stopped following the game, and I'm so ever close to hitting the uninstall button on my machines simply because I am frustrated with the state of the game. But getting back to that, there's also a big problem with the end game. In fact, there's a big problem with the entire game as far as the story goes and as far as end game goes. And I'll give you my honest opinions, and you can agree or disagree, and I would love for you to give me your opinion. So my big thing about this is this game has a difficulty system. They call it a world tier. As you progress from one world tier to another, enemies get harder, will become bullet sponges, harder bullet sponges. They hit harder. You get better loot, and you get a percentage to get epics and legendaries. Okay, great. And as you progress from world tier 0 to 15, Obviously, things get better, the game gets harder, but the overall experience ramps up. And if you're somebody who likes, a challenge, then you leave the world tiers alone and you just let it auto upgrade you. However, there are some people, day one, that chose to put it all the way down to the first tier, which is story mode, and blast the entire game. Now, I get that. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I understand accessibility. It's great. I'm not saying anything's wrong with that. But I do feel it does cheapen the experience for people who takes advantage of that kind of system and just blast through the game and go, hey, I'm at the end of the game now. Let's see what the end game's about. Oh, end game sucks because I keep getting killed. Well, if you don't have the gear, then yes, you're going to get your butt kicked. So why would you use the system to get a jump and brag that you beat the game already and then complain that you're getting your butt kicked by these harder enemies? It doesn't make any sense to me. That's just one thing, There's also a big issue with trying to find matches, going back again to the dedicated servers where it's basically, hey, I want to play a game online, and the game goes, okay, great, I'm going to find a game. Here's a game. Go to this game. And it could be the worst game. You could be a devastator who people see as a devastator and they kick you off the game. You could join a server that has a really bad connection. You don't have any kind of sight, any kind of idea as to where you're going. And this is where dedicated servers come in again. And I'm going to keep talking about that. And this is where a dedicated browser list would be awesome, because a good game, a fantastic game that I play, Remnant from the Ashes, has this. It's an action RPG that has online elements, and it does a great job. I would say it does a better job than what Outriders does. It gives you a browser list. It says, hey, you can play on this level. There's these many people in this group. Here's your connection. Go. And you have a massive list to choose from. For people who can fly to release this game in this day and age without a browser list, I just don't understand why they did that. I simply don't understand that. But again, a lot of comments, a lot of issues I have with this game. Let's talk about my biggest concern with this game. The lack of content, endgame content. You beat the game, and if you haven't beat the game by now, sorry, I'm going to ruin it for you. You beat the game, you go into what's called the challenge tier. Challenge tier pretty much is you ramping up from challenge tier 1 up to the last one. I forget which one it is, 15. And as you do that, you're basically thrust into these areas that you've already played through the full game, and you have a timer. Based on how well you do, you get better loot. And if you don't do good, then you get no loot and just some tokens or the challenge tier currency they can use to buy stuff. So it sounds interesting the first time you play it, but the problem is after you beat these challenge tiers, there's nothing else to do. You keep doing it, and that's pretty much it. And it gets boring. And what do? You roll another character, play the story mode again, or do you keep rolling through the challenge tier till you get to the point where you're face rolling people in like 3-4 minutes flat? Because that's what people are doing right now. They're literally posting insane challenge tier times because there is no other end game content. That's it. There's no massive instance. There's no big baddie to fight. That's it. It's completely it. And I can see why a lot of people are saying that the game itself is boring. I'm right there with them. It is completely boring right now. I'm on challenge tier 15, and it's another reason why I've stopped playing the game. It took me a while to get my Devastator to where I'm doing completely bonkers damage. By the way, if you're playing Devastator, get used to that. Don't fight it. Just go with the blood system. The blood system is the best one right now. Trust me. Don't argue with me. Just do it. But getting back to that, seriously, my biggest concern with this game is the lack of in-game content. There needs to be something. Destiny 2 does a great job with this. The fire strikes. Even when you beat all the instances, you can jump into a fire strike with your friends, screw around, do whatever. Find new loot, enjoy yourself. And they're constantly rotating the fire strikes. And yes, the fire strikes are just instances you've already played in Destiny, but that's fine. It's not a timer. You're not going to get penalized if you can't make it through a certain time. That's great. And they also have the raids. Right now, there's nothing for you to do in this game. Outriders is simply story mode, challenge tier, and that's it. There's literally nothing else to do. I found myself going back to the story mode or the regular system or the world tiers and just redoing the monster hunt quests just to get more gear, just so I can dismantle them, so I can upgrade my weapons. And by the way, I think that's also pretty crappy, because even if you're at the top of the world tier and you do a quest line at that world tier, you still don't get items at that level. You get weapons that are lower. That doesn't make any sense. If I'm doing a quest, I should be getting items at that quest level. But that's not what happens. And if you're trying to level up another character, say I'm trying to get weapons so I can put it in my stash, so I can give it to some other characters, it's kind of discouraging because you can do that stuff in WoW. You can do that stuff in Destiny. You give them, you put it into your bank or your stash or whatever they call it anymore. I don't know. And you go to your other character and then you pull them out, which is great stuff. You can't do that here because the game kind of stops you. So you have that, you have the glitches, you have the lack of endgame, you have no dedicated servers. Seriously, I'll say it again, no dedicated servers. There needs to be dedicated servers. And this is why, in my opinion, Outriders is losing steam. Big thing is the inventory white system or the bug, which they have addressed, but people still are affected by that. But there's nothing else to do. And the problem with this is, unless you're on Xbox Game Pass where you're playing it and you're not losing any money, there are a lot of people spreading, I don't want to say negative opinions about the game, but they're being honest. They're telling people, hey, I enjoyed this about this game. I didn't enjoy this about this game. And people are listening to that. I mean, you can go on Reddit or Reset for Error or any other online forum and where people are talking about Outriders. And you'll have a bunch of people saying, hey, this game is great. At the same time, you'll have a bunch of people going, yeah, but this game has this, that, this, and the third, and I don't really want to play it. Honestly, I'm in the second camp. I just don't want to play anymore just because of what's happening with this game. And it's not cool because I love this game. I've talked to people can fly. I've interviewed them. I've asked them hundreds of questions about this game. I really like this game. I like the gameplay. I like the gunplay. I love the loot system. I really love the modding system, which I think is something that other games really need to emulate. But there's still things that can be changed. Even again, as I just mentioned, I love the mod system, but if you play the game, you know that once you change a mod, the other mod gets locked. So if you have a piece of gear that has 2 mods slots and you change one, the other one becomes locked automatically. Okay, well, how about you make us pay more currency to unlock that thing? Because you get pieces of gear that are so fantastic, you want to hold on to them, but you end up getting a crappy mod and you can't do anything about it. It's like, what do I want this for? A good example for me is I'm a Devastator. So I want cooldown, I want status, and I want anomaly power. Well, then I get some gear that have long range damage. Like, what the hell am I going to do with long range damage? I don't want this garbage. But I get a skill or something that's stuck in there that I can't change. I really don't like that. And that's just one example of the things that is really going on with this game. I really want people that can fly to talk to the community, listen to some of the issues they're having and address those, or have a roundtable discussion and explain why they made the decisions they did, what they're doing to change those implementations, and give us a roadmap of what they're going to do to make this game an enjoyable experience for those who've played it and those who are on the outside looking in. Because I really want this game to do good, but as we're looking at it right now, Outriders is losing people on a daily basis. I'm right now looking at the Steam player count just for PC, and every day they're losing people. As of yesterday, the minimum daily peak was 28,000 people. Average was 28,000 people. And this is when the game first came out. It actually peaked at 124,000 people. And yeah, yesterday was the lowest. Actually, looking at all the numbers, yeah, that was the lowest. So the launch day, 93,000 people, hit 15,000, 124,000. Then it started going down from there. It went up again at 97,000, then dropped to 40,000 now. As of yesterday, 28,000. So this game is constantly losing people, and it will continue to do so until people can fly can address the issues with this game. And I really hope they're able to do so because it's a good game. It is a good game. It has great bones. It just has a lot of issues, a lot of things that need to be addressed. And if they can address it, this game will be back on the rise. And I have total confidence that people can fly, they will do it. I don't think they wasted all this time developing this game and hyping this game up for this game to do what it's doing right now in the course of 27 days, because it hasn't been a month yet and the game is hemorrhaging people. It's not a good sign, but I think they can do it. I really think they can do it. But I'd love to know what you think about Outriders. Is the game a good game? Is it something you played? If you have played it, do you enjoy it? Or are you frustrated like I am? Let me know by hitting up the comments, or let me know by hitting us up over to outerhaven.net, or just making a tweet on Twitter to Outerhaven, or just addressing this directly to People Can Fly. Let them know that you're playing this game and you're frustrated, or let them know that you want to play this game, but there's just too many things that need to be addressed. Let them know so they know that we care about this game. All right. And as always, thank you for checking out Spectator Mode Podcast. As always, you can find us over at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Stitcher, and wherever else gaming podcasts are found. And as always, 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 game on.